What is good, everyone? Welcome to this video. I'm Charlie from Conscious Creation, and in this video I would like to share with you the power of feeling in order to heal. So when we give ourselves permission to feel things that are uncomfortable within our body, we also give ourselves permission to start healing. When we experience emotion in our body, what actually is that? That is energy in motion. And if we have an emotion and we label it as positive, it makes us feel good. If we have an emotion and we label it as negative, it makes us feel bad. The interesting thing is that both the negative and positive emotion is exactly the same energy. But when we resist things, when we label things as bad, that energy gets stuck in the body and it creates baggage and it builds and builds. So what we want to do is we want to feel those aspects that we haven't accepted or acknowledged. And this helps with the process of us healing. And this is where we can use the feeling in order to heal. So one of the best ways that we can do this is by using your breath. It's something that I incorporated in my life a couple of years ago. I make it as part of my morning routine, doing a bit of Wim Hof. And when I first started meditating, I would bring my focus back to my breath over and over and over again. My thoughts would always go haywire, but I would bring my focus back to my breath, and it would allow me to become more and more present. And it was through this presence that I was able to heal and feel uncomfortable things within my body. Because whatever we resist, it's just the ego's way of trying to make us feel safe. But if we want to rid that stuff, is we want to go along and feel it. So let's say, for example, you experienced a trauma as a child of being controlled in some way, and you're holding that within yourself. If you're able to feel, acknowledge, and accept that experience within you, is you're able to release it from your body. Because if you continue to hold it, is you are going to continue to attract relationships, circumstances, and situations that reflect that trauma, that reflect that control within you. Because trauma is, or triggers are just corresponding to a trauma that is already within you. So when most people experience triggers, let's say a circumstance or a situation gives you that jolt in the stomach, or a tightness in the chest, or tingling up the spine, or you get a bit flustered in the face, is we blame the person, we blame the situation, we blame everything outside of us, not realizing that we would not react in that way if we did not hold that trauma within us. So we need to use triggers as an amazing opportunity to start examining the trauma that we're holding within our body. So when we experience a trigger, instead of blaming the person or the situation, we need to go within ourselves and we need to start feeling whatever is coming up for us. So a good example or good analogy I like to look at this is if you think of a cauldron. If you got a cauldron and it's filled with this liquid, and this liquid is just sitting in the cauldron. When things happen to us in our life, it's like getting a wooden spoon. You start to stir the liquid, you get a bit of heat under the cauldron, it starts to bubble, it starts to steam up. This stuff that is stuck in our body comes to the surface for us to examine. What we tend to do, because it feels uncomfortable, we want to distract ourselves, we want to go and get some food, we want to go on social media, perhaps we want to find that next relationship, anything that can take our feeling of discomfort away from us. But if we can really stay present and feel that emotion, doesn't mean we have to like it, but we can just simply stay with it. That is the process of healing. So whenever you feel a trauma or a trigger that bubbles up within you, is you need to use the breath. You can open up your chest, take a nice deep breath in and fill your body with that breath, and notice where you are uncomfortable in the body. And by using the breath, it helps dislodge that energy and brings it up to the surface. Now you might have to stay with that trigger. It might even last a day or two. But as long as you stay with it, as long as you're truly present with it and you feel it 100%, this is one of the best ways to heal it from your body and release it. I came across this quote the other day, which was really good, which is, everything is your responsibility, but it's not your fault that it happened to you. Everything is your responsibility, but it's not your fault that it happened to you. One of the things that can really help us on this journey of self-healing is to learn how to shift our perspective, because if we allow ourselves to shift our perspective, it allows this energy, this resistance, this baggage in our body to come to the surface so we can go along, feel and heal it. And one of the biggest shifts in perspective that we can have is to realize that when we have these triggers, it's not anything outside of us. We would not feel it if it wasn't already within us. So when we do experience these triggers, all we need to do is we need to go within ourselves and we need to inspect what it's trying to tell us. And if we do this, is our journey of healing can happen a lot quicker. And you go along and you start to expand your consciousness, you start to transform, you start to heal. If you've ever watched Harry Potter, there's a point where Voldemort is trying to split his soul into things called Horcruxes. And he has to do something very bad in order for this to happen. So he has to murder someone in order to split his soul. And he wants to split it 7 times and put it in these different objects. So his theory is that if he dies, then he will be immortal because his soul is in these different places. However, from my journey and the things that I have learned is this part of us, our true essence, our soul, whatever you want to call it, that is already whole and complete, and that cannot be damaged, that cannot be fragmented, it cannot be split. However, when we experience trauma, when we experience things that are uncomfortable to us, and we build up this baggage and resistance within our body, it acts like layers covering this aspect of ourselves. And when we go along and we feel and we heal these parts of ourselves, it's like pulling back the layers. When one talks about transformation, from my opinion, you're not really transforming, you're just peeling back the layers that give the illusion that you weren't whole and complete in the first place. And that's when you go along this journey and you start to heal, you will start to feel more whole and complete if we give ourselves permission to sit and be present and to feel the things that come up within us. And when you start to feel more whole and complete, you are going to start attracting things that reflect that in your life. So thank you for watching. Hope this has helped you. Peace. Take care.